Will, do you know why I'm the greatest org player alive? Because I totally bluffed the shit out of you. Well. Will.
Hi.
Will.
That's me. Hi.
How are you?
Hi.
Why are you saying, what are you doing?
I got nothing to say, man. It's just a StockWatch. And now I have all my friends suddenly magically talking to me. You know, they know what's up. They know it's StockWatch time. They want a piece of this.
StockWatch.
Woo!
That's what we're here to do.
Are we?
That's what we're here to do.
I thought we were here to talk.
How's life been for you this past week?
Same as last week, Jack. I got another job.
You got another job? There you go.
I'm wearing jeans for the first time in like 8 years.
You do.
So that's cool.
My headphones up.
Now it's fall, and we did call a certain elimination. We called both eliminations for Survivor 45. I feel really proud about that.
We did.
You know, the quote unquote best player on paper, you know, got voted out at final 11. I don't want to brag, but
I don't want to brag, but we're geniuses.
We did call it. Y'all called us insane. So yeah.
Yeah. This episode was definitely like a little bit of a lull compared to last episode. Last episode was fantastic. I think this episode was a little bit less overall perfect. I think there was, some issues with the editing, particularly one player not really getting anything when they were going home. But so Get a Grip again. Get a Grip is always a classic. Always great to see people hanging on a pole for hours on end, but it was really only 20 minutes this time. And
sucks.
The split tribal, it works sometimes. It doesn't work other times. This time it wasn't as impactful.
I think the big problem with this episode is that there's one group which had really lively dynamics, and then the other group was just the consensus. Which kind of sucks. I feel like the red group, it was just very predictable. We knew, like, as soon as they were declared, like, the one group, Sifu was going home. The blue group, I think, was a little more lively, and so it kind of made just an imbalance with the editing. But what you gonna do?
I mean, I agree with you. I think the biggest issue for me is that this is too early.
Yeah.
It's at the final 12. When everybody's just settling into the merge. They want to be on the jury. They don't want to go home. So no one's really going to make a play. It's more about safety than actually making moves. Whereas if you put it at the final 10, people are more incentivized to do things like take out Nasir in 41 or, basically kind of go for 40, 42. Do things that are more kind of outward and more aggressive with your moves rather than kind of write it in and just be like, I just want to make it the jury. I just want to be safe.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like whenever there's a tribe that's really low in numbers or a group that's really low in numbers, you really have to play it like it's the end game. You know, we kind of see that. We saw that with Lulu, right? And we saw that in, Survivor Philippines, the Uwa tribe to a lesser extent, where you really have to play each person really well and perfectly in order to survive. And so as unfair as, a really small tribe division could be, I think it makes some of the best gameplay. But it also gives more room to just completely screw one player over.
Right.
But, I agree.
Before we move on to the people, Jay, I think you're right. I think that what's really interesting about the show and what they could do is that if they're going to continue with smaller beginning tribes moving forward, I'm pretty sure they are, they're going to stick that way, make the merge as big as possible.
Yeah.
Have that dichotomy. Have that difference because you have 6-person, 5-person, 4-person, 3-person tribals at the beginning, and then do a 13 or a 12-person tribal or an 11-person tribal. Make those tribals big. Don't split them up and make them small again because that's just not really having a great effect. And for voting out 2 people back to back, I think that's definitely a good solution if they wanted to do a double boot episode. Throw it like some of the early 20s where they had the immunity challenge at Tribal, you get a quiz. Like,
Or
that's fine.
what you could do too is get like the bottle twist Cook Islands, but have the players actually know that 2 people are getting voted out.
Okay.
I think that could also be really cool because then it's like you have to manage your advantage as well. If you use one at one tribal, you're kind of screwed for the next, especially now with the shot in the darks. I think that's a really cool solution, especially, early on. I still think, though, that the first merge vote should be like open. It should be big. I think everyone should be vulnerable except for who wins the challenge because, it's different voting between 5 other people and 12 other people, and I want that to stay and remain because that's really chaotic and what the merge is about in Survivor.
Yeah, that's exactly what it's about. Let's begin with the players. We are going to Sifu. We never had any hope.
No.
The hope for Sifu diminished episode 1, and it was never there in the first place. I think Sifu kind of never got rid of the deer in the headlights mentality. He never really felt like he settled in the game. He never really made good allies. He never really made good strides. He was always kind of in this place where, man, I'm just so happy to be on Survivor. And, cool.
That's great.
Like, I feel the same way. But at a certain point, you got to play the game. You got to make some allies. And Sifu just didn't do that. And I think that was his biggest downfall because eventually his lack of allies was going to send him home over somebody who maybe is abrasive but has allies, like Bruce.
Yeah, it's crazy. I think the problem with Sifu is that he watched a lot of players and he just wanted to replicate that. But again, you got to know the why. And there's a lot of subtleties to a lot of players' games that we aren't privy to. And so if you go into the game wanting to play, a Kim Spradlin game or a Tony Vlachos game or a Boston Rob game, it's like you're not going to ever do well because you're not there for the relationships that have been built that lets them play that kind of game.
Right.
Sifu came right into the game wanting to play that game, and he immediately blundered. And in ways he just never recovered from that. And I am proud he made it this far. Like that's, for being a complete pariah for a while, making the merge, pretty cool. Wish he made it to the jury, but that's how it goes.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I think that the reason why the all-time greats of Survivor won their seasons or did so well in their seasons is not because of their style of play. It's because of their style of play with the people.
Yep.
You have to work the room, and they worked the room with their style of play. You can't just copy-paste the style of play and put it in another season. So, yeah, I absolutely agree. I think the one last thing I'll say is it's really unfortunate that Sifu got kind of unedited. We missed a really great secret scene earlier in the season where we got a really touching moment from Sifu personally. They wanted to under-edit him. They wanted to, it was pretty low vis. It was pretty, Jay, I agree. Very clunky, very weird. I just, it wasn't anything to write home about, which sucks because Sifu was such a character.
He was. I feel like if we got more Sifu, I feel like he would have been just like the next goofy guy everyone would just like meme on, but in a good way, like the Gabler, I think of Mike from 42, like the Gabler Galleon, the Mike
I was thinking
train.
more Nasir, honestly.
And Nasir.
More of that.
Because I feel like while his gameplay, had a lot to be desired, I still think Sifu as a person was really just over the top positive, and I wish we saw more of that. And I really think that secret scenes are just kind of bad omens, where if you get a really personal secret scene, you're not going to do well because
Yeah.
we saw the same with Jay Maya earlier, and we saw what happened. So, and Brandon Donlon, it sucks, but
It sucks,
at least
but
he played
at least he played. Seemed like he had a good time, which
better
is
than
all.
us.
Better than us. Yeah. Now
We called it.
we called it. We told you he was on his last legs. You all thought we were lying. We were right. Big
Yep.
brain. He
Wall Street, baby.
Caleb, to me, undeniably one of, if not the star of the season. I think that he is kind of the next Malcolm in a way, little bit, hints of it.
Kind of.
He's so likable, so good at the game naturally. I think always his biggest issue was going to be threat management. Everyone knew off the rip that he was just too good, and there's nothing anyone could do. And it's not like he's good, but we like him enough, and we want to keep him around enough.
Yep.
Whereas with Caleb, it's more he's so good, even wanting to be his ally doesn't matter.
Yep. And it sucks because I love, like, Caleb has such a natural energy to him, but I really do not see how he's this amazing Survivor player because, again, he doesn't read the room. He doesn't know about threat management, and these are all things that aren't new to Survivor. These are the things that have been in place for since season 1 with Gretchen,
Yeah.
And so I feel like, on one hand, I think if he was aware of his demeanor more and was more socially aware, I think he would be an absolute unit. I think, honestly, of anyone in this cast, I know this is really early, I think out of anyone, I think Caleb coming back has the best chance because
for sure.
he didn't make it that far, so I don't think he's going to be labeled as a huge threat. He'll be playing with, threats and not Sabaya and Hannah Rose, Sean Edwards, Brandon Donlon,
Emily Flippin.
Emily's a threat.
Emily's good, but Emily trusted Caleb,
Emily trusted Caleb. But that was also on a tribe, with Sean Edwards. So, I mean, does that count? Like, come on. But
very true.
Nah, Caleb, I respect him. I respect his game, and I wish he made it a little further. But I do feel great that we did call that Caleb was not winning Survivor 45.
I do. I think the one thing I want to kind of put to bed and kind of rest with Caleb is that I think that he could have survived this episode. I say could have, not 100%.
Yeah.
I think that, and we'll get to this with Jake as well, telling Katura that she was on the bottom and she had no idea about the idol, I didn't even think you needed to tell her. I'm going to be honest. I don't even think you needed to say that Bruce had the idol. Or you could just say, yeah, Bruce had the idol. Or just, you don't have to beat Austin to the punch. Because Austin's not going to do that. Austin's not the type of guy to go to someone and just completely dig into someone and put pressure on them. He's not that type of person. And so I think that was definitely a blunder from them. And I think it circles back to Caleb has to read the room. He's really naturally sociable, likable, good at challenges, you may say. But he just doesn't have that reading the room capability, reading the threat management capability.
Yeah. I think he made it clear that, Katora was on the outs. I know there's a lot of points of contention of whether or not Katora made the right move, and we'll get to that later. I really cannot blame Katora, though, for going against Caleb, because it's like, why would you work with these people who just lied to you for like the last, week?
Yeah.
I get the point, but I think with Katora, of all people, it just did not pan out well, and I think it was a little sloppy. And it sucks.
It was.
Anywho,
Bye, Caleb. And now we move on
hi
to Austin. Austin had his most subdued episode of the season. I think he had one confessional.
Yep.
And there's nothing to talk about. We never got to see if he would flip in a revote because it happened. I think the only thing we can talk about with Austin this episode is the fact that we called this too. I want to say we called this too. The shock of Caleb's shot in the dark play made everyone completely forget that there were only 11 votes and not 12. So Austin is skating free. We're geniuses. Wait up. I'm going home.
Bro, we're StockWatch, baby. You know. Sean Edwards is still the new Boston Rob.
Hold on.
Bring him back. Dean Kelly are winning. It's okay. We win.
Oh my god. All right, let's get to the beat here.
Hi, Austin. That was a good one. No, so yeah, Austin didn't really have a loud episode, but I feel like it was oddly I don't know how to make heads or tails with it, because on one hand it's like, you know, he was kind of getting labeled as playing very timid and very scared, and that's the side we haven't really seen of Austin in a long time, other than just not wanting the advantage. But also I feel like the whole ploy to take out Julie did not work out, and I think Austin was still in the right move. And you know, I think him being quiet after, you know, banking his vote makes a lot of sense, and it could be a one big ruse for Austin's storyline. Who knows? Yeah, I feel like Austin is just hard to de-rank or rank higher or lower. I feel like he's going to make it far no matter what. Like, bad episode, good episode wise, I don't know.
No, I think Austin had a perfectly fine episode. I think he's at stay later in the rankings. But look, we've said this for weeks. He's going to be 5th or 4th or 6th. Like, he's going there.
Yeah, he's making like finale maybe.
Yeah, he'll make finale. That's probably my guess. I don't think there's anything else you can say, because it's on paper. It was written at the very beginning of the show. And Austin's kind of that advantage narrator and twist narrator of the season, and that's a perfectly fine role to be, because, you know, there's no harm with that. So moving forward to Bruce.
How do we not put Bruce at 10?
I think
Bruce
I actually forgot to update this. We're gonna make a hot change. I am, at least. Because I think I actually made him 10. But I guess it's an update.
So you made the other guy 10 though.
Oh, wait! I made the sheet 10. Okay, just pretend that the position on the chart says 10. Everyone.
What? The position on the chart? Or yeah.
My chart, my graph has him at 10, but my little chart has him at 9. I forgot to update that.
So I'll explain why I have him at 9, not 10.
Okay, you intentionally have him at 9. Please,
I intentionally have him at 9. Yes. Because I still think, you know, everyone wants him gone, but he has Kelly still, you know? And I feel like it is a race to the bottom between him and the person I have at number 10. The person I have at number 10, I think, is not making it to the final tribal council at all. I think Bruce, there is a slight chance still.
Wow.
And just as a losing finalist, though, just as a, you know, slam dunk, I think of Jamie from 44. You know, her whole edit was just her getting dunked on. Bruce's whole edit is him just getting dunked on. You know, so maybe he goes next. He still has the idol. That's a lot more than the person I have at 10 and you have at 9. I think it sounds insane talking about it, but it's also like, no matter what, this guy, Bruce, and the next guy, or whoever's next, or whoever's at 10, they're not winning the game anyways. So it's like, it doesn't really matter.
I think for me, Bruce lost the game like he would win after episode 1. There's no way he was winning after episode 1. That Premier was not good for the type of circumstance of Bruce. And only has it continued and spiraled into more negativity and more just flaming out.
Yep.
I have him at 10, not 9. I have him at 10 because when looking at this, I'm kind of sensing I disagree. Will, I've disagreed for weeks. I don't think he's making the final tribal at all.
I'm just saying it's possible. I'm not saying it's likely. I'm just saying I could see it.
There's like a 0.000001%
More
chance.
like a 3%. Come on.
Oh, boo-hoo. Okay.
Come on.
Come on.
Jay, are you with me?
No.
This did happen in 43.
No, I think this episode. Hi, Palaver. I think this episode was indicative. This was the Bello episode, right?
Yep.
Like, this was basically everyone for Bello got stuff. We got to see what everybody was thinking. I think that most people are still willing to stick with Bruce for now and putting up with it. And we saw that shown in a weird light compared to Katura, who clearly didn't want to stick with Bruce and actually acted on that. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens next week, especially with the next time on Survivor being the setup of the famous all-girls alliance.
That always works out.
That always works out.
Yep.
So it's going to be interesting with Bruce next week. We'll see see what he does. Yeah.
We will see.
Going to D. Oh my God. This wasn't the breakout. The cracks are forming, okay? The cracks are forming in my number one right now. D is playing fantastic right now. However, she's seen as a threat. She's seen as top of the totem pole. There's some cracks forming in that. It's gonna be interesting. I think on paper, great episode. However, my only fear with my number one pick is that it's too good too early, as most often number one picks do.
Yeah.
It's a little too early for her to be built up to be this absolute legend. So I'm just waiting for the shoe to drop. Or will it drop? I don't know.
So my thing with Dee, I think, honestly, it is in her best interest, and I think perhaps the narrative of Survivor 45 will become one where the big threats stick together, because there's a lot of parallels with Dee's game and her storyline with Kelly. And I think it's really cool how they both won the challenge, our number one, number two. Spoilers, but it's not a StockWatch episode. And I haven't seen the next time on Survivor. I never put any stock into that, pun aside, because, half the time it's just Jake collapsing. And
yes.
Yeah. And I feel like it's not really indicative of what actually happens. But I think Dee's making it really far. The cracks are there, but are they there just so it's not just a landslide, like Dee is for sure winning, or are the cracks there because maybe Dee loses, because the edit's not just going to be like, yeah, here's Dee, the winner of 45. She played perfect. She was great. She was flawless. There's going to be cracks to her game, especially with new era winners. Think of Jam Jam, think of Gabler, think of Marianne. All of them had cracks at points throughout the story, normally very early on. But maybe this is a change of pace. I still have Dee very high. Honestly, her and my number one, I don't know who that could be. Far and away higher than anyone else.
Jay, I want to vehemently disagree with this. I don't sense the vibe that sees a losing finalist. I don't think it's in the edit for her. I also don't think it's in her kind of personality. I think if she makes the end, even at this point, I think she has a better shot than most people at winning the game. And, we can talk about that for extended periods of time, but I don't think that she's a losing finalist. I just don't personally see it out of her. What do you think, Will?
No, I think Dee either wins Final Tribal Council or she gets maybe fourth, maybe fifth. I feel like there's a lot of people I put in the fourth place category, but I disagree too, Jay. I feel like Dee, she's just too much of a firecracker for her to just have that edit and be a losing finalist. Like, I agree with Jack. I think honestly, my number one could be a losing finalist to D if Tribal Council surprisingly is that
That would be
makeup.
crazy.
That would be an amazing Final Tribal Council. I wish
very good.
a Final Tribal Council of my number one Bruce and D. I'm just saying.
Why are you on this? We gotta get you off the Bruce train.
Bro, I was on the Sean Edwards train earlier. No. Oh yeah. Hi Drew. Hi.
Hi Drew. So this is the last clarification. I have him at 9, not 10. The graph is correct. The chart is wrong. Moving on. I think Will and I called it very early this season that Drew was going to have a glorious downfall episode. I still think that's happening. I don't think this episode has changed anything with that. The only thing I really want to talk about with Drew is the fact that you cannot leave your shit at camp. I'm sorry. You can't. You can't leave your stuff at camp. In my opinion, you bring every idol, every advantage to the challenge. You don't know where you're going. You don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Yeah. I think of literally anyone who's left their stuff at camp and got voted out. And there was a cool tweet where the last episode this cast saw before going out for Survivor 45 was Josh's boot in Survivor 44, right? Do you know what happened after Josh's boot episode?
What is that?
It was the Matthew vote out where Matthew left his stuff at camp. He got voted out and Franny and him cried. So, maybe had they saw the episode, Drew would have brought his belongings. And it's weird because, again, his whole storyline going into the season was he was the smartest guy to ever play Survivor. And you would think that when he says something like that, he would play a very clean, easy Steven.
He would bring his safety without power into the challenge.
He would bring safety without power, but he would play a very just clean game, right? Doesn't have to be perfect, just clean. Drew's not playing a very clean game at all. And so I feel like I just can't see him making it that far in the season. And honestly, I could see Bruce being ahead of Drew, which is why I have Drew at 10.
Sure.
But I like Drew.
Sure.
He seems cool.
I could see Drew going next episode. I could see Bruce going next episode. But I do think it's likely one of those two that are probably out the door. We can go ahead and move on to Emily, and we'll bring up Palaver Girl. Hello. I'm concerned about Dee getting uber power villainous on her first immunity win, I assume. Remember, Emily does like that, and she's the Beast Slayer with 9 lives. She is the Beast Slayer with 9 lives. But I still have hurt for her. I think this episode was great for Emily in the sense that it was a cool down and it was protection because Caleb going home. She didn't get much about Caleb. We were mean to see her in a bad light. I think it's great for Emily. I'll tell you what, I was actually I was thinking about this because I was like, do I put Emily at 3 and make her like a contender with my top 2 and put the person I have at 3 at 4? It's just like a placeholder. If Emily has another great episode next episode, I might have to. I think the dragon is still the most likely scenario for Emily, but this was pretty good. Pretty good.
If she has a lot to say about about Caleb going home. That's honestly like the best thing that could happen with the edit. I think no matter what, she will still say a lot because the Emily Caleb storyline is like one of the most prominent. It beats, Kelly and Brando. No offense, Brando. Love you, Brando. But,
Sorry, Brando.
I think the best part about this, though, is that she did not get blood in her hands for voting at Caleb. I think, honestly, this was the best case scenario for Emily. It removes not Brandon. It removes Caleb. She's now the sole Lulu member left.
She's got an easy jury vote and an easy jury voice.
Yep. The only concern is that the cast would realize that and then target Emily for being a threat. I think that's kind of why she, makes it to the final four and loses then.
Perfectly reasonable. Yeah, I think last season we talked about jury voice. Whoever's on the jury is going to have the biggest voice to convince the other jurors to vote for that person. We said it was Carson a little bit for Jam Jam last season. If Emily does win, Caleb's the voice. Caleb's the king of Ponderosa.
Yep.
King of Ponderosa's got a lot of power.
And that's not to disparage Emily's game, but I feel like her social game is the one big flaw with Emily. I feel like she's decent enough at competitions where if the big threats go out early, Emily could win a few comps here and there. Strategically, she's very clear on that. She's always said her biggest liability is her social game because she just feels like it's a waste of time, and she's very transactional. So Caleb could absolutely help out. And I think, honestly, this jury is going to be a lot like, spoilers to Big Brother 25, but the Big Brother 25 jury, where it's going to be less emotional, more gameplay. Right. Not really a spoiler, but, shout out to Big Brother. And so I feel like Emily's type of gameplay could get rewarded with this cast. I don't know, but I'm rooting for Emily.
I am as well. I think the last thing I'll say about Emily is that I don't think her social game is good. I agree with you. I think her, call it camouflage, is good.
Yeah.
I think she's really good at hiding under the radar. She hasn't been seen as a threat, even with the Jay Maya boot, when she was the alternate target. There's no way. It was very clear that Jay was going home. Emily was totally safe. I think Emily's camouflage ability to kind of lurk under the shadows is very underrated. And I think her awareness of that is very, very good. So.
Yep. And hi, Jake.
Go back.
Nope. I got nothing more to say.
Moving on.
Hi, Jake.
Hi, Jake. He had his biggest episode so far this season.
Yep. Hi, Jake.
And for bad measure, in my opinion. I think when you try to make a big move, you try to really just throw everything out the window, see what sticks, and you fail, and you're shown in such a big light to fail, I think that spells doom. I don't think Jake really had a shot of winning. I'm going to rule him out officially now if I haven't already. And, it's interesting to see what happens because I think this – could it be the nail in the coffin for Jake because of the Reba, the Reba 4 wanting to get some vitriolic revenge for 2 votes on Mama Julie? Or could he be carried as a losing finalist?
Yeah.
What do you think?
So I think it really depends on what happens next because, again, this is the new era Survivor where making mistakes is no longer a red flag.
Yeah.
And that is being generous to Jake. I'm not saying, Jake's winning the season, but I'm not counting him entirely out yet. I think his biggest attribute for a while is just the amount of personal content we get from Jake. I think Jake has the most, more than anyone else. And I think that is his biggest attribute in a editing and narrative standpoint. So I do think he could make it a lot further than I think we give him credit for. And I think it really depends, just like Emily, on what happens next. How does he get portrayed? Because, it's one thing if he can't make a move happen with, a tribe of 5, because you can chalk that up to a bad configuration, mismanaging one relationship. But now he's going back with, a lot more numbers. He's rekindling his connection with Bruce at least. And, I don't know. I don't think it's over for Jake yet, but he needs to change his edit soon.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I could see your logic there. I think he had the bigger brunt of the blunder this episode with Katura, basically telling her the whole rings thing was a joke, was fake, it was a ruse. That was the nail in the coffin. If the idol wasn't enough, telling her about the rings, I think, was the nail in the coffin. I see a little bit of myself in the way Jake played this episode, and I'm going to explain why. I think this episode, Jake tried to say, I'm putting the past behind me. I'm going to focus in the now. I'm going to make the move that's best for me and for my allies right now because I want to win Survivor. This is what I have to do. And so he just is open about all information and tells people what he's doing, tells people what's happened with full transparency. And that could work, but it mostly doesn't. It doesn't work. And I've used this strategy before of, just throwing everything at the wall, being totally transparent, using truth as a weapon. Yep. It works sometimes, but in this particular scenario, it did not work for Jake. And so he's at fault.
Yep. I will say, additionally, real quick, too, Jake liked my reply to one of his tweets, so he's still a winner in my book. Shout out to Jake. I think he has the best social media game of anyone on this cast, except for maybe Brandon. But
well done, Jake.
Well done, Jake. Hi, Julie.
Hi, Julie. Julie was the person I was considering moving at 4 for Emily.
Yeah.
Not a lot from Julie this episode. However, the one point I want to bring up is, often we see a big player, and we see a big player has an ally that they trust, who's not as big of a player. And so, with that smaller player gets targeted because they are an accessory to the big player.
Yep.
Is Julie the next? Is Julie the next target to the big player? Because Dee and Julie had that dynamic this episode, and they targeted Julie because she was an accessory to Dee. What do you think?
I think on one hand, yes, but also I think it only matters when the big target is, immune. I don't think there's any speculation on whether or not Dee has an idol. Right now, we know she has none. We know that, but the players don't know that. I feel like when you're getting into the brass tacks and you're really getting into the later points of the game, because right now we're pretty much in the middle game, right? The early merge. I feel like it's a lot better to just take out the big threats. And I think the big threats will band together and vote out, the lesser under the radar players, maybe your Jakes, maybe your Katoras. I feel like Julie still has a lot more game to play because while she was being targeted, she ultimately was still in the game. Mm-hmm. But I don't know how much of that was Julie and how much of that was just circumstance.
Right.
But I feel like, when we get to Katora and her vote, I feel like there's not a lot that was said in this episode, and that's going to be something we see Wednesday night when we come back from the tribal council.
Right. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how Julie kind of plays this, especially with that idea potentially kind of circulating that it's going to be the big threat sticking together or the girls sticking together. We'll see.
Yeah.
Speaking of Katura, I told you don't count her out. Okay. She's not done. What did I tell you? She's not done just yet.
She's not done just yet. But, my only fear right now is she needs one more good episode for me to rank her higher. because
I agree.
because yes, she had a good episode, and I do think she made the right move. Well, I don't understand why people are saying she made the wrong move by
For
like
sure.
that is that let's be real with each other for a minute. I know we all like Caleb, but like she should have voted out Caleb.
100%.
But we have to take into account what happened from episodes 2 through 6. They were not really good episodes for Katora. And so my fear is that it's not consistent enough for her to be a winner when she spends half the game just complaining about Bruce, even though she had a really good episode 1. I think she's going to get built up as a huge threat and then get taken out.
Sure.
Maybe you're high, not a dragon, but maybe makes it decently far.
A little dragon, baby dragon.
A tiny dragon, like a little baby dragon and a little egg. Bruce is the egg. Katora is the dragon in the egg. No. So that's my only fear. That's why I'm still not 100% on the Katora train. I'm glad that we're seeing more of Katora. I'm glad that I'm not insane when I'm saying she's playing a really good game. We're just not privy to it because it doesn't make sense narratively. But yeah, it's nice to see Katora.
I think when we talk about new era winners, we talk about flaws. We talk about cracks. It's the most important thing in a new era winner. Because often with a winner, the cracks are quickly subdued and the cracks are quickly erased. With new era winners, those cracks are never erased, but they're part of the win and they're integral to it. I think if Katura were to win, I think her original crack of being too hyper-focused on somebody and letting her personal kind of vendetta get ahead of her game sense, where we see Katura versus the next player, Kelly. I think it's going to be interesting to look back on that in a retrospective because, in a way, Katura has done her job. She's turned people against Bruce. And I think that if Katura does win this season, I don't think her signature move is going to be taking out Bruce, obviously. But I think her signature – what am I trying to say here?
It's not that she just got out Bruce. It's that she was able to manipulate and get everyone against Bruce. Because getting Bruce on its own, right, I think, is not an impressive move because everyone hates Bruce. If she gets Kelly to go vote out Bruce, that is the landmark. And as long as she's able to articulate that, which I think she would because I think Katora is well-spoken, I think her saying, I got out Bruce, that was my biggest move, that's not going to win. Her saying, I was able to convince Kelly and the rest of the Bellow members to vote out Bruce, that is a lot stronger, and that could win Katora. I just wish and I hope that she has stronger episodes moving forward because that would be a really cool narrative.
Yeah. I think what I was going to say on top of that is Katura uses her move against Bruce, her voting out Bruce. Instead of that being her move and then she's done, she uses it as a stepping stone. She uses it as a pole, as the pole to vault over the other pole. Could see that happening. I'm just really glad that Katura had a good episode again and made the right decision. She made the right move for her game. The other move would have been, God knows what. She made the right move for her game, and we will see what happens with her next episode. I'm hoping good things. Oh, boy. Still number one. Whatever. Your last legs. I will admit, she had a great episode.
Yeah.
Really, really, really solid. Really, it's a little bit of personal sprinkled in there, like Parmesan cheese on top of your Olive Garden meal. But I'm still hesitant. She's fair. Really good. I'm still hesitant at putting her at number one because I don't see cracks. I don't see flaws. And that's not a new era winner to me. I don't see cracks. Well, to be fair, I don't see cracks. I don't see a lot of cracks with D either. I see a little bit more with the power. But
I think honestly the magic with the new era editing is not that you're supposed to have cracks with every single winner. It's just it's not supposed to be obvious, right?
Yeah.
Like with and the cracks every single time were always different. With Erica, the cracks were we just didn't see her for half the season. Good job edited. Pat yourself on the
Good job,
back.
Survivor.
In 42, Mary Ann, her main crack was that she was too energetic, and that was a big turnoff early on, right?
Right.
Gabler, now his whole game was a crack. Let's be real here.
Yeah. His game is cracked. Let's be real.
And Jam Jam was being too big of a threat early on, and he was able to use that. And so I feel like Kelly is aware of her threat level in a way because she's still really gung-ho about keeping Bruce because Bruce is a really good shield for Kelly.
Right.
I think that is why I still have Kelly at number 1. That's why I'm still high on Kelly. I think the cracks are kind of there because, we hear Caleb wanting, hearing that what am I saying? We hear Caleb is saying that Kelly is, top of the totem pole, but somehow he wants to work with that. So I think it's less that, you're supposed to have like a bad game move or bad decision or be a target for a bit. I think it's just supposed to be unexpected. And I think Kelly, while there's no cracks, she's still under the radar. I feel like the casual viewer, they're not going to be like, yeah, let's round of applause for Kelly. I don't even want to pronounce her last name. I can't do that. I feel like they're going to be more intrigued by a Jake storyline or a D storyline. And so I think Kelly wins. And I can agree with Jay. I think Kelly loses to D at Final Tribal, which would be wild. That
would be a great ending.
I'd be happy with that. I know I have Kelly as my last draft pick. I'd be happy with her losing to D. I can also see that. I can see that, Jay. I still think she wins, but I'm also not like 100% lock in.
I think if anything, this episode kind of opened up the floor. To me, it's still been Emily, D, Kelly, Katura, and Kendra.
Woo! I can.
But lesser to Kendra. But it's always been those kind of 5 for me for the past couple weeks, and I'm really honing in on that. A little bit less Kendra now, but there's still a little bit of that in there. But this episode kind of blew that up a little bit in the sense that it really opened it up to be more of a chance for other girls to win. Because really, it felt like a two-horse race between Dee and Kelly.
Yep.
Now I see some horses kind of coming up in the rear. I see Emily, Katura. I see them starting to round the corner. And I think it's going to be a much more interesting finish. And with that, a little bit farther behind is Kendra, who had an interesting episode. It's weird. I think her strategy was a little all over the place in a sense. Yeah. I think she wanted to keep Bruce, then she didn't. She wanted to get rid of Sifu, then she didn't. But she was framed as a decision maker. I think it's just, I don't know. It was just kind of weird to me. This was the weirdest kind of edit of the episode, in my opinion. What do you think?
Yeah, I think Kendra right now is the biggest question mark. Still, yeah. I feel like I could have a really good gauge on the rest of the players. And the players I don't really have a good gauge on. It's like, I want to wait until the next episode to see how they do. Kendra is just all over the place. I could see her being a losing finalist. I could see her going out next. I could see her being collateral for like trying to take out Kelly.
It's really hard to read.
Very weird. And I think if there's a lot of really good content, maybe she can squeak out a win. But I'm not saying that as a, she can win. That's like, we need to see more.
Right.
But it's like, Kendra is just like a big plate of Play-Doh. And the editors, they just don't know what they're doing. I don't think Kendra knows what they're doing too.
Kendra, she's good. Wow.
Yeah. I know my analogies.
You should be on the editing team.
I should, be at Tribal Council with Jeff Brooks.
Yeah, I agree. I think Kendra's edit has been very weird. And I think she's the one person you can't land on one or two outcomes. She could. I don't. She might win. It's slim. She might win. She might be a losing finalist. She might be fourth place randomly. She might get out next week. We have no idea. I think Kendra's the one you could confidently say that you're unconfident or inconfident.
Yep.
So there's a wrap on that. Quick hits time.
Hi.
Last episode, I really didn't have a lot of change. I want to spice it up. I want to get some people with some changes. See how we're doing.
Quick hits.
Before we do that, can we please put Bruce out of this misery? I was saying this all throughout the episode, but I really think Bruce was designed to be on Tika.
Yeah,
like he was supposed to be on Tika, and I think copy pasting him and putting him in a different season, I just don't think that works.
No, but it is very Tika of him to just like be in a different season with a different cast, a cast who's just not there. Like not, I think honestly he's like the new era coach. Honestly.
Sure.
Okay.
Here we go. Quick hits. I have Katura at triple buy, the best you can get. It really depends on the next episode if that's legit, but I think it's worth it to pick up that stock now. Doing super great. I have Kelly at double buy. If you don't have enough already, I think she's kind of understated. Buy some. She's doing well. And she, I think she'll make it at least a few more rounds. You have at stay D, Austin, Emily, and Kendra at a stay. I have D at stay. I think good episode on paper, bad episode in terms of the cracks. Austin, Emily at stay. Nothing happened. Kendra at a stay, at an iffy stay, because we don't know what's going to happen. Nope. So just kind of hold on.
Hold on.
I have Julie and Jake as a sell. I wouldn't say that Julie had a bad episode. I just think her equity, if she really had a good chance to win, or if people really did think she had a chance to win, I think it's gone down. Yeah. Especially with this episode. Because, not being able to talk about the episode, or not being able to talk during the episode that you're a target in, it's not great. And Jake at a sell, I think being overexposed or trying to make a move and failing, it gets a big issue, and I think that's a problem with Jake. I have it's kind of weird because it's edited badly, but I have Drew at a double sell. Now is the time. We have been waiting for Drew to have the sell. We've kept him at stay. Now is the time. Drew will probably go home in the next few episodes, in my opinion. It's the time to sell. Get rid of the stock. He is probably going to be going home in the next few episodes. And then I have Bruce at our so sad. Why do you have this? I don't think there's any reason why you should have Bruce stock. He's not winning. And in my opinion, he's not making it far. Will, you disagree? You think he's losing finalist material?
That's just said it's a possibility. Damn it.
No, whatever.
Man, I'm tired of the disrespect.
Any thoughts?
No, we made this. Jack, this is our baby right here.
This is our baby. Closing out with the Edgic. So D, Kelly, great episode on paper. Kelly more so overall. Katuro with the nice CP4 there, kind of coming back into the limelight. Any thoughts on this?
No, they're the Edgics, and this is the stocks. This has been the stocks watch.
Well, this has been the stocks.
Jack, please calm down.
Okay. Do you have anything you want to say?
I'm doing this podcast in a library right now. I need you to calm down.
It doesn't look like a library.
It's a green screen.
Yo. Fair enough.
All right.
Yeah. episode wasn't as good as last week, but still, Survivor 45 has been kicking it.
Oh yeah.
It's been, it's been a great season. Let us know if it's a good season. Comments, spring them up. Tell us if it's a good season. Tell us if you like it. Tell us what you like. You don't like, whatever. This has been Will.
Yeah.
And this has been Jack.
This has been the StockWatch.
This has been the Stocks. We will see you all for episode 8 next week.